Now to one of the most shocking stories of the year. This horrific murder was caught on camera. The brutality, the depravity of it is beyond anything I can adequately describe. We will not show the full footage, not even blurred, but just watching the lead up to this senseless crime is chilling. Here you'll see a young woman, a Ukrainian woman, her name's Irina, and she boards a train in North Carolina. She's on her phone, has AirPods in, is minding her own business, and there is no interaction with her murderer, who slowly pulls out a knife and then launches a vicious attack, leaving her bleeding to death as he walks away. Josh, the lack of media coverage of this incident, the fact that this murderer was released over and over again after violent incidents, the whole thing is just so sickening.
Rita, I hate to say it, but I mean, the video speaks for itself. This is a black person who is murdering a blonde woman here, and that is not the kind of story here in American media that the media is typically going to cover very quickly. I'm sorry to just be so blunt and to say it like it is, but that is just the tragic reality. I guarantee you that if the roles were reversed here, and if this was a white person who was stabbing a young black girl to death there, that the media would be all over this. They would literally never let this story go. I mean, this is kind of just the DEI ideology at work. I mean, this is kind of just the neo-Marxism of oppressed levels, of people who are oppressed, people who are oppressors there. And if you take that logic to its logical conclusion, then you will actually find people who are ultimately trying to make justifications for violence. I don't spend a whole lot of time on Blue Sky, which is kind of where a lot of left-wing people went after Elon Musk bought Twitter/X. But I've spent a little time on Blue Sky because I actually do value trying to understand where my political opponents are coming from there. There is an astonishing amount of violent rhetoric and outright explicit calls for political violence on Blue Sky. And generally speaking, the left is in a very,
Wow.
very, very dark place in this country there. Again, it makes me frankly very nervous in many ways. I'm not happy to report these news there. But I think that is kind of something going on here when it comes to the lack of media coverage as well. I think a lot of it is just the races, the DEI ideology at work there. But there's this kind of bloodlust for violence in certain very extreme corners. And if we know anything about left-wing media in the United States, and I assume Australia and various other first world countries as well, we know that the left-wing media, frankly, is disproportionately filled with these far-left people that are exposed to all sorts of violent rhetoric there. So it's a horrific,
Mm.
horrible, horrible, horrible story there. But tragically, Rita, I'm not exactly surprised at the lack of media coverage of it.
Now, there was an incident at a ball game in Miami, an incident that quickly went viral around the world. And there's a lot of feeling about what happened here. You got a dad retrieving a home run ball. He proudly gives it to his son, and then he gets berated by a woman who felt the ball belonged to her because it landed closer to her. Have a look at this interaction. And yep, he gave the ball back. Let's have a look at a different angle and see what was actually said during that interaction. Josh, what are your feelings about that entire catastrophe? The woman was awful. That's a given. But should the dad have given that ball back? He bowed to a bully in front of his son. To me, that was also terrible.
No, it's inexcusable. It's absolutely inexcusable there. I mean, you're trying to set an example for your son. Look, I mean, Rita, we have a 9-month-old baby girl here. I mean, these thoughts and feelings of trying to be a role model for your child are kind of fairly new in my young adult life. What I can tell you is that myself, when I was younger, my family growing up in New York State, we had partial season tickets to the old Yankee Stadium, the New York Yankees there. And I remember actually when foul balls would come close to our family seats, my father, really trying to kind of get in there and try to fight for the ball to give to my brother and I as a souvenir. It's very much kind of an American rite of passage. This notion of trying to catch a
Mm.
foul ball, you give it to the kid's grinning ear to ear, raise it up, gets on TV. It's kind of like a culturally viral moment here. So for this father to at first succeed and to get the ball and then just bow down to this reprehensible, presumably kind of just radically far left woke bully. I mean, just awful. And look, I mean,
You know how
hopefully
she voted, Josh. You know how she voted. You don't even have to know. I can just tell by the glasses, the haircut, the attitude, and what we saw there. I would bet a house I know how she voted.
I would do the exact same thing there. But look, not a good look for this father whatsoever there. Hopefully he learns some good lessons going forward. And hopefully that young baseball fan, that young Philadelphia Phillies fan will get a foul ball souvenir sooner rather than later, whether it comes from his father or from someone else.
Well, I think the Marlins, it could have even been the team he was supporting. They did give him a big gift pack, and they kind of tried to make up for that incident and have him leaving the game with a positive experience. But yeah, we're on the same page. I thought we might have a fight about that one because a lot of people were defending the father, saying, well, he was obviously so taken aback, and you're not going to win if you don't give the ball back to a woman who's very much aggrieved. But yeah, I think that was giving in to a bully, not a good move. Josh Hammer, thank you so much for your time tonight.